All right, we're live.
Welcome back to the great conversation. Really, welcome back, because we've been gone for a while.
I know.
Sorry.
It's not like us to like drop off inconsistently. Like, we're consistent people.
We are. We are reliable, consistent. People love us.
Who are these
for
people
that.
you're looking at right now who gave up last year?
Well, Happy New Year. We're starting a new year, and we are really going to commit to y'all. We are committing to the great books.
Yes.
Because we want to know what they have to say.
Yes, even though I will say, by the time I finished Aristophanes and the poetry, and she yesterday morning,
we're doing it again.
She was like, "I'm reading them again," and I'm like, "I'm not reading those again. I'm not doing it. No, you can't make me do it."
Where's your inner poet?
It's not there. I am so like, give me a nice pull quote. Give me another nice pull quote. Tell me about business pull quotes.
Right. So I'm reading them again, and I'm probably going to share some thoughts with y'all again. So we are going to read the great books this year.
Yes.
We're going to do an episode every Sunday so that we can get our thoughts out to y'all. We are not scholars. We've made that very clear on our podcast before, whatever this is. I know you don't like podcast makes you want to throw up. Yeah.
It does. Our conversation.
Even though you love to listen to them. You just don't want to be another podcaster.
Yeah.
So this show, this time with y'all, we're going to share our thoughts. We are not scholars. We are here to read the great books as just regular old American people.
Yeah.
And see what the authors of time past had to say and how we are still using their thoughts today, how they have built the culture that we live in.
Yeah.
Everything that we believe and think, we are influenced by these authors.
Yes.
And we want to know what they have to say. And then we want to take those thoughts and apply them to our everyday life. How
Absolutely.
can this make me a better person? How can this make me a better mom? How can this make me a better sister, daughter, friend, wife, whatever hat you wear? How can this make you better? And that's really what the authors wanted. We've talked about that before. That is the point. It's not so that we can sit at a round table and put our professor hat on and masturbation of like mental masturbation. Yeah. So that we can all just feel our best and let me top you.
Well, I know more about what he said than you did.
Yeah. So we are not here for that. We are here to apply it. And we love that. We love to learn and then apply. If we don't apply, then
what are we doing?
Right.
There's nothing more frustrating to me in myself and in others when somebody tells me about something that they learned and how it's the greatest thing and it's so smart, and then they don't do it. I'm like, why did you even learn it?
Yeah. Did you know that intermittent fasting every single day for 18 hours is going to make you live longer? And then they don't fast. Like, if that's what you believe, then why aren't you applying it?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to read and apply and talk to y'all about our thoughts. We might be totally wrong. So challenge us on that. Tell us what you think. I want to hear in the comment sections from y'all this year. I want to hear what you have to say. And if you don't type it down and I can't read it, then I don't know what you're thinking. Yeah. And I don't know how I'm wrong or how I'm right or how I should change my thought on that author or his writings.
Because this is a conversation. I think if you are, struggling to consider reading the great books because you're afraid that you might interpret them wrong or read them wrong, or you're going to tell somebody, oh, I read Aristophanes' Clouds. I keep saying Aristophanes' Clouds. And I think they said this. And they're like, well, actually, you're an idiot. That's not what it means at all. And you will feel shut down. Don't be shut down. That's on that person. That's on that person that they think they have the absolute source of truth. And they're not willing to talk with you about your opinion and ask you questions and inquire with you. This is a conversation.
Yeah. And I think,
this is all about.
When we first read The Great Conversation, before we started the great books.
When she says The Great Conversation, she means the book that is in Adler wrote or Hutchins wrote, prefacing the great books. How to approach the great books.
Yeah, and saying that these authors don't need context, just read them, and then they'll start pointing to each other. Well, first of all, if you're starting at the beginning, what book's pointing to give you context to that one? Yeah. And then secondly, we don't live in a culture where everyone that we know is reading these books and challenging us. And so getting that context is important. And at first I was like, Ben, we're just going to read the great books. We're not getting context. And now I'm like, okay, we need some context just so that we can really understand what we're reading. We don't just read it and say, I didn't get that. And maybe in a few years when I go back and read it again, I might get some more thoughts. We really want to try to understand it now so that we're not wasting our time in a sense.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
And so we share some actually good thoughts with y'all.
I think these, I don't know this for sure. This is just my own opinion. I think these books are being read less than any time in history. And so when Annabelle talks about context,
Maybe not the Dark Ages.
Yeah, maybe not
then.
then.
We might be in the second Dark Age right now.
you say that a lot. But what happens is when we read these books now is that it's not like it's general literature. It's not like it's general entertainment. Like this is the entertainment of history, right? And so when you go and you talk to your friend about like Lord of Rings, what is it, like the Ring of Power? Is that what is out right now? Or
we don't know.
Yeah, we don't even know.
Don't
we
watch
don't watch
it.
shows. But like, for instance, like let's say Lord of the Rings, the Ring of Power, or like Game of Thrones, or The Office, like
Seinfeld.
that's context, right? Like you could say Serenity now, and everybody's like, Seinfeld, or just whatever, right? And that's like Aristophanes' Clouds. That's like reading Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, right? Like that is what these books would be for years. So by going and finding context, you're then bringing yourself into the greater conversation of the books,
Right?
Because your friends aren't just discussing the great books.
They might be, and they don't know, because like we said, it's
True.
so much of what we
They
say
could
and
be
do.
quoting the great books without knowing it. They could be misquoting.
They could. I mean, the context is huge. Ben used to be someone who pulled quotes
I
all
air
the
pulled
time.
quotes all the time.
And I was like, I don't think that's what they really meant. He's like, I don't know. I just pulled the
sounds
quote.
good.
Sounded good.
Yeah.
So I think, obviously reading the great books, huge goal of this year.
Yes.
We're going to do it. And today we were at church this morning.
Yep.
Great first way to start out the new year. And we were learning about Rosh Hashanah,
Yes.
the Jewish culture, this festival of starting out their new year.
Yeah, so it's in
Different time
September.
than our new year.
Yep.
And really reflecting back on the year that they had.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that was asked is, what is something that your friend or someone you know would tell you should regret from the last year?
Yeah.
And really reflecting on that. And then moving forward, reflecting on, okay, how is my spiritual life? How is my relationship with God? And then how is my relationship with other people? And I think when we have our New Year's resolutions, we might say, okay, I want to be kinder. I want to have better relationships. But really reflecting on what you did, not just saying, yeah, I wasn't really a great friend or whatever, but reflecting on why. What was it that you did? And then moving forward, what can I do better specifically?
Yeah.
What are the systems I can put in place to make sure that I have a better relationship spiritually and then with all the people around me horizontally?
Yeah, what I loved about that conversation, or I guess that sermon you would say, and the idea of how to approach Rosh Hashanah, it was a communal reflection, right? Like a lot of times when you're looking at New Year's resolutions, you're just looking at yourself, right? And you mentioned you could make a New Year's resolution like, I want to be a better friend this year, but like you would actually go to that friend and say, hey, what's something I should regret this year? What's something I should have regretted last year? And then you have real hard evidence of how you could improve. Now you need great humility, you need great fortitude, because that could hurt. And if you're just going to ask that and then be like, well, screw her, I'm not going to go for that. That hurt. Then,
New Year's resolution, not friends with you anymore.
Get a new friend. Don't do that. That is valuable information. Even if it feels mean, even if it's hurtful, that is information that there's always a bit of truth in what we receive.
Yeah. And so the fortitude, like you said, of going to that person, a friend, maybe a colleague, maybe your spouse, and saying, what did I do wrong in a sense?
Yeah.
And maybe you believe you didn't do it wrong, but the humility of, okay, I did something wrong because they felt that.
Yeah.
And how can I make that better this year?
Mm-hmm.
And really having that conversation with that person of, what do you want to see differently in me? And let's talk about some steps that I can take to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
One thing that you and I've worked on since we've been married is letting you be you. And some of the steps that I have to put in place is you need words of affirmation.
Yes.
And part of me letting you be you is encouraging you in the things that you're doing great at. Hey, Ben, thank you so much for making me coffee this morning.
Yeah.
I needed that, and you are so great at doing that.
Yeah.
And so we have to put in little steps to make sure that relationship grows. We can't just say, oh, I'm going to be kinder. What does that mean? What are the things that I'm going to do so that I can convey to that person that I am being kinder?
Yeah.
Not just what we're holding back on. Okay, I'm not going to yell at that person all the time. Okay, but what are we going to do to make it known that I'm being kind to you.
Well, it's the rule of replacement, right? Like you can extract something, but unless you put something back in, it'll just fill itself in naturally with what the universe brings you.
Right.
You
I
know,
think
it's like
yeah.
it's not tactical. Tactical.
What are those
It's not
two?
tactical.
Right.
Tactical is I'm going to remove this and insert this, right? If you go in for a heart catheter and they just cut something and don't put that thing in, they might as well have not done it. You know, it's like you have to go in and you have to replace and you have to plan to have that relationship flourish. We were talking about that with some friends we had over last night. Yeah, last night. And she was saying, I want to do less of this, you know? And we're like, okay, well, what do you want to do more
She wanted to
of?
consume less, like be less of a consumer. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you're going to remove that, what's going to be in place of that? Because it's going to be a void then.
Mm-hmm.
And then with voids comes boredom, and then boredom, we just go back to what we were doing before.
Absolutely.
And I feel like before we came on, you were like, New Year's resolutions, everybody has them, and you were so angry because like everybody has New Year's resolutions and nobody does them, and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And it's like,
feels
okay,
so fluffy.
yeah, we have to have systems in place.
Yes.
We've talked about this so many times of, okay, for me, it's a schedule. I want to have more fun this year. My phrases are fun in the sun, delight in the day.
Yep. Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah,
I like
it's a
that's
good one,
cute.
isn't
I like
it?
that
Delight in
one.
the day. And so, like, one of the things I want to do is 1,000 hours outside.
Yeah.
My nephews did it last year, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's great, because there were so many days where I looked out the window, I said, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
We should go outside. We should go to the park today. We should go play. And then the end of the day would come, and I was like, did I go outside? I know the boys went outside,
Nope.
but I don't think I went outside. So
I
2
open
hours,
my second floor window every now and then.
2 hours and 45 minutes outside every single day this year.
Yeah.
Go to the park, go to the pool, go on a walk. It
Systems
takes
in place.
systems, and
Yep.
it takes a schedule, a very strict schedule. And people think schedules are for boring people. I'm not going to do that. But this schedule is going to allow me to have freedom, because otherwise, the end of the day is going to come. I'm going to say, okay, we did projects, we did laundry, we cleaned the house, we
Twice.
fed the kids, but we didn't actually do anything fun today. We didn't go out and just delight in the day and enjoy ourselves and say, this is fun in the sun today.
Yeah.
I had to have it in my schedule.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think about, like the intentionality of that. 1,000 hours, it's funny because you say, 1,000 hours, that doesn't sound like a lot of time. Like it really doesn't. But then when you actually broke it down, it was 2 hours and 45 minutes a day. And you're like, dang, that's a lot of time. Right? And so without the intentionality, it just falls flat. And people, like you said, people say, people who are scheduled are so rigid and boring. But actually, those are the people that may be rigid and boring. But when you look back over the year, those are the people who are like, damn, how'd you do that? How'd you get that done?
Yeah.
Dang, you have like that whole thing going now, or like you built that flower garden, or man, that's cool. And you're like, man, what did I do? And you just think back, you're like,
I had a lot
that's
of
the
free time.
boring person.
Yeah.
How did the boring person do that?
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like this idea of like people who have systems and processes and schedules are boring. However, they're the ones that end up getting out of the day, out of the week, out of the month, out of the year, what they wanted. And I was listening to a podcast recently with Ed Millett and Rob Dyrdek. Rob Dyrdek, you probably heard him from Fantasy Factory and Ridiculousness. He's a pro skateboarder turned crazy entrepreneur. And he said literally one of his scheduled items is his assistant scrapes his calendar, puts all of the things happening in his life, in his business for the day, correlates it into an email. He goes and finds like a cute little love poem and then shoots an email off to his wife every single morning because she was getting mad, frustrated, as wives and husbands do at each other, that she didn't know what was happening in his day and she felt left out. Bam, fixed it, created a schedule, created a system. And those are the kinds of things that we have to do as humans if we want to end the month, the year, looking back and saying, man, I did what I wanted to do. If you don't worry about it. Just let life go. Like, let it fly. But if you care, you got to get accountable. You got to put it together. Because I remember you saying, this is hilarious. She said this earlier. She said, each year we have a word of the year and these phrases of the year. And what word did you have of what was your word of 2021?
Yeah, at the top of my list for my goals and dreams, I wrote word.
Word of the year.
And there was supposed to be a word after that was going to be the word for the year. And a year later, I looked back and I thought, there was no word there.
You erased my word.
And it was actually perfect because at the time I was like, I don't know what my word is going to be this year. And I think it was because I looked forward at the year. I had 4 under 4.
You had just
new
had
twins. And I thought, I don't know. I don't know what I want out of this year.
Yeah.
other than to just help these 4 humans flourish and survive. And so looking back, the year really was speechless.
Yeah.
And so it's good that there was no word because it fit perfectly.
That's hilarious.
It was a hard year. It was we don't use the word busy because we don't like busy. But if we use the word busy, it was a busy word.
Yes.
It was a busy year.
Yes.
And there was a lot of travel that happened, which was a beautiful thing. But then when I look back month to month, I journaled, life is really hard. I don't know how I'm going to survive. I don't know if I can do this. God help me. I just don't know if I can keep doing this. And so, yeah, the year it was a heavy year. Go ahead.
Sorry. Progress happened, but it wasn't because of our intention.
I think that my 4 children for sure flourished. They grew.
Because they were our focus, like business, eating, and our children.
And I personally grew a ton.
Sorry. I just snorted in the mic.
Every day was an opportunity to be more patient, to be more kind, to be more uplifting, to be more whatever they needed as humans to flourish this year. And when I look at each one of them, I see that. And I see that there was, by God's grace, some intentionality in each day. But me personally, I felt just like the life had been sucked out of me by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And the end of the year coming, into Christmas, I was just like, man, I don't want to do this again. I don't want this year to happen again.
Yeah.
And then, we changed some things in our health and my health personally, and we're coming into this new year and I am like charged and ready to go.
Yeah.
And I am ready to grow as a person. And of course, I'm still going to have to give to my children and to you more than I'm probably going to have for myself. And we hear moms say it all the time, like they say it to me, well, you just need to take some time for yourself. You can't be the mom that you need to be to them if you're not healthy. And I know that. It's the whole thing on the airplane, like put your oxygen mask on before you try to help the passenger next to you. Because if you are not alive, then you're not going to be any help to the person next to you.
Yeah, but then your kid's next to you going, Mom, my mask, not my mask, Mom, my mask, Mom, my mask.
Exactly. And I'm probably going to struggle to put my mask on because they're yelling at me. But I do have to do that this year. And this...
Sorry.
You see what I have to live with, people?
Mask,
This
Mom.
this laughing guy. It's great.
Okay. You were saying.
And this year is going to have to be that. It's going to have to be a year of me reading the great books and growing as a person in this way. And it's in my schedule to do this. But it's not the only thing, obviously. Yeah. But we do want to share these thoughts. We want to learn what these great books are.
I'm not thinking.
Okay, share your thoughts.
Okay, so there was this. So she has her strict schedule. I'm sorry, I'm like outing you, but this is so funny to me. So she has a strict schedule, and each of her items have a time and an activity, right? So like her outside activity, her, where we're gonna do school time with our son, and then there was like this one that was like coffee and reading, and it didn't have a time, and it was before like 7:30 when her other times came. And I looked at her and I said, so what time are you going to do this one? And it was like, wake up. And she's like, I'm not thinking about that one yet. Because it's like, there's something that we all, the reason I'm bringing that up is, first of all, I thought it was hilarious. And second of all, there's something that we all stumble at. There's something that we all struggle to get that initiation going. And for you, because you are called upon day and night, right? If our babies wake up in the middle of the night, like, we're both there, but you're more there than I am. And that's the one thing for you is that wake up, that getting that ignition out of the bed to get to the things that you want to do. And that is the difference between getting what you want and allowing life to give you what it will. And so, that's something that we see as a clear get it, don't get it. But that is the hardest thing to do, is that initial kickoff, getting out into the day. Maybe other people, they're night owls and they just stay up late and they can get their thing done. But for us, we know that our best time is in the morning. But getting that morning is not often.
It's something about the bed. It's just like it holds you there. And in the middle of the night, you're like, I don't want to be here. Like you're kicking the covers off. You're like frustrated, and then we're getting close to dawn, and it's like all of a sudden it has arms and it's holding you.
I know. It's like finally you like your body surrenders to it, and then it's like you just want to keep going.
but then I regret it every time it happens. When my children are
Yeah.
up before me
Yeah.
and they're in the fridge
Yep.
and I hear clanking and I'm like, wow, the kitchen's going to be a disaster. And I'm laying in bed going, why didn't I get up this morning?
Yeah.
Why didn't I get up to do the things that were important to me, where
Yeah.
I could have had quiet, solitude, focus? I should have done it.
Gotten ahead of the day.
And like,
Yeah.
thank God that we have every day to kind of have those feelings of regret and then hopefully do it differently.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we don't.
I know.
We
Why?
gotta-
Why do we not do it differently?
Like you always say, the burn has to be greater than the resistance, right?
That's
Whatever your
good.
phrase
Who said
is.
that? I said that.
You
yeah.
said that. And so for some
true.
reason,
It's true.
it's not painful enough for
Yeah.
me.
The pain of doing it has to be, the pain of not doing it has to be greater than the pain of doing it.
Yeah. And so for some reason, it was not enough during this past year
Yep.
for me to be like, well, tomorrow I'm going to do it differently because that was way too painful. It didn't feel good, but apparently it wasn't painful enough. But I think by the end of the year, it was painful enough. And so this year is going to be different.
I love
and I
it.
have the systems in place, and I have you as my accountability partner.
And I'm a harsh accountability partner.
Yeah. Another bonus to being married, a built-in accountability partner.
Yes, you keep me accountable for so many things, but I definitely am a good schedule accountability person.
Yes.
If it's written down, it's happening.
And you make my coffee in the morning, so it
True.
gets me out of
No
bed.
excuse. In fact, your coffee will be warmer.
It's true.
make your
It's
coffee
terrible
early.
when you make it early and
I
then I get
know.
up 2 hours later and it
It's
is frigid
cold.
cold. I still drink it,
You do.
but
Yeah, I think reflecting back, that's the one thing that you said the most to me as we ended this year. It's like, what happened? Why did I let myself not do everything I want to do? There was just so many things that you just said. You're like, how did it get away?
yeah, and I do think there is, a little plug here is that so many of us are not in great health. And our health is so important.
Yeah.
Our bodies have to be, they are a huge part of the motivation. Like your brain could want to do it so bad, but if your body is suffering through something,
Yeah.
it's not going to let you do what your brain wants you to do.
Yeah.
And so I was having, some health issues that I didn't even know about that were literally like debilitating to me.
Yeah.
And no matter how much my willpower was, like my body was like, no, you need to sleep. Like you're going to stay here. You're also just not going to do anything today. You're not going to work out. And so once we, at the end of the year, kind of figured out some of those health issues
Yes.
and got those in check, I already feel more charged and ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think so many of
I
us...
actually kind of have to get out of her way. And so,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
And so I think sometimes we don't stop and think about that. What are we putting into our bodies? When are we putting it into our bodies? Are we always eating? Are we like not eating during the day and then right before bed we're like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten today. I need to eat a ton.
Yes.
And then we're not sleeping well.
Yes.
Whatever it might be, maybe some weight that needs to be lost or some weight that needs to be put on because we don't have enough energy.
Yes.
And so our health is a huge part of that. And so I think going into this year with New Year's resolutions, make sure that your resolutions or your goals and dreams or whatever they are reasonable. They're things that you actually can accomplish.
And more than anything, they're not things that you think you should accomplish. They're things you want to accomplish.
Yeah. And make sure that
A lot of times that happens.
they are in like bite-sized pieces. You're not just going to like start a business and get it off the ground and be making, 6 figures by December, maybe, but like
Yes.
that is a little ostentatious.
Yes.
And, maybe it's like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in January or something, like that would be crazy.
That is, it'd be quite impressive.
So just make sure that your goals and dreams or your New Year's resolutions are things that can be accomplished. Make sure they're in bite-sized pieces. Make sure that you have great health and your body's ready to do what your mind wants to do. And make sure that you have the systems in place. You actually have step-by-step of how you're going to accomplish that goal.
If you're not healthy for whatever reason, what if this is the year of health so that next year you can springboard into the goals that you really want?
I think we're so scared
Right?
sometimes to,
Like, why not use this year to just get to your that remember that time I was this? What if this year is just getting you back to that? And then next year is like, bam, we're going to jump into that thing big.
But I think we're scared to do that. We're scared to say,
Stair step it.
I want that, but I'm not even going to make the resolution until next year. That
Yeah.
seems way too far out.
Yeah.
And we've said that. We're like, we want to possibly do some things one day.
Yeah.
Should we do it now? No, right now is not the time. In 5 years, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah. And I think that's good. But
And it's not putting it off. It's
no,
not.
but what are we doing now
Right.
so that we're ready for that thing in 5
Right,
years? And
right.
that was a big, I spent I spent last week, so the week before Christmas, everybody's got time off. Nobody's working. I'm sending emails and everything's like out of office. I'm like, all right, there's nothing I can do. Nobody's responding to me. So I sat a lot of time and I just hashed out, what do I want? What do I enjoy? It's something I don't often do because I'm such a routine schedule like guru. I'm like, we're going, we're doing. And I don't often reflect. And so this past couple of days was just like, what do I want? What do I want to do? What do I enjoy? What do I remember from our college days when I had class projects, and what were the projects that inspired me and got me excited about life, and what were the projects that absolutely drove me insane and depressed me? Okay, let's not aim for those projects, let's aim for those projects. And that for me was the healthiest thing I'd done since I started my business. Was just, okay, business is sustainable now, supporting our life, awesome. Okay, now let's aim towards things that really inspire me and push me, because my business is, I like it, but I would not say it's what absolutely kicks me out of bed in the morning.
Right.
Yeah, I want to be kicked out of bed in the morning. I'm to a place now where I want that, and so that's what I spent a lot of time doing the last week.
Yeah, we do. We have to have dreams for our life, right? Like the whole idea of like, well, I can't do what my dream was because it doesn't make me money. Okay, well then,
what makes you money?
What makes you money? Do that.
Get that going.
Yeah, and have a dream for one day, not like far off in the distance. And then one day, people say you're going to be laying on your deathbed and you're going to be like, oh, I was always going to do that. Have that dream and make sure that what you're working towards is going to fuel and finance and just support that dream.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about it. So there's this very famous speech from Alan Watts.
I was going to bring that up.
Okay. So I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to talk about it on my channel actually next week or so. But it was Alan Watts, and there's two, it's called like passion, or how to follow your passion, but then there's also, it's called like, what if money were no object? And basically Alan Watts goes into this. He's a philosopher of, don't know the exact era, but it was like 1930s, 1960s, around there. I need to look it up more. I'm babbling. So basically he talks about, what would you do if money was no object? He's a guidance counselor. He talks to all these college students, and they come to him and they say, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And he says, well, what would you do if money were no object? And last night we were watching New Year's Eve, and he said, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And that is a better question, because money is always an object. So that is, to me, that is a stupid question. That's like saying, what if we couldn't breathe? Well, you'd be dead. A fish. Yeah, or you'd be a fish, or you'd be dead. So that's a ridiculous question. So what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Now, what do you need to do so you don't fail, or so that you are set up to make an attempt? Because we will see failure. But what can we do? What can we add to our life each day, each week, each month, each year that will set us up towards the life we want to live? Most of us are not in a situation where we can just jump off the diving board into the passion or the exciting thing of our dreams. Me and you are a perfect example of that. I left college with a degree that I absolutely hated. So I had to figure out how to get towards something I loved again. And it's taken 7 years to even get to that place again.
You hated it, but more than that, you left college with a degree that you would have struggled to support us financially.
Absolutely.
And that's the worst of it,
Yeah.
I think, of course, everybody in America seems to be stuck in a job that they don't like.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. But more than that, most people are stuck in a job where they're hardly making enough money to live.
And that was us.
And so it is unfortunate that professors are asking students, students are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for the professor to ask them the question instead of guiding them. And that's where, we talk about historically where you did what your dad did. There was proof of concept. Okay, my dad's doing it. He's making money. And I have a mentor right here that can teach me everything I know. And then if I'm making money, I'll go on and do something else. And why aren't we doing that? Why are these university professors asking students what they want to do if money was no object, like they could survive? Like
when they are paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars to be there. Money is definitely an object.
Yeah. Say that next time you go to the grocery store to buy a dozen eggs and it's $8 or whatever,
Yes. You bought free range organic. On accident.
No, I buy free range organic on purpose.
We got home, I was like, these were the free range organic. Normally I just buy the organic. It was the whole thing. But anyway, our point is that this philosopher had a great idea, and it is a very inspiring speech. But I feel as if when I listened to it, it didn't lead me. I listened to it in college and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to follow my passion. But I was like, I don't know what my passion even is, because I'm just trying to survive. And it's a great idea, but it lacks any action step. It lacks any schematic of how to actually get somewhere that you might actually enjoy. And so that's kind of another part of my goal in life, is to just help people like make those small steps to an eventual thing that they love. Not just drop everything and go gung-ho for something that is not even sure. And so I'm excited to flesh that out more on my channel here with you as we read through the great books. We're going to learn a lot from these authors, and I'm just excited to be more furnished with the knowledge of history. There's so many great things that were spoken and written, and we often listen to the philosophers of our day, but where are those people often learning from? It's often from these books.
It is.
And so
we're going to the source.
We get to go to the source. And I think that is the coolest thing about this. And then we get to be people who are furnished with knowledge and insight to furnish our lives with something more than just pull quotes. Because I'm tired of being the pull quote guy. It just doesn't feel fulfilling.
It's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
All you'll ever be is a pull quote.
Oh, do you want to be? We're gonna make a T-shirt. I'm no longer the pull quote guy.
I like it. Well, Thank you guys so much for being here on the Great Conversation this week. We're excited for all that this year has to offer.
Yeah.
But guess what? It doesn't offer us anything if we're not the one offering the year something.
Life will punch. Are you gonna punch back? Are we gonna punch back this year? We're deciding yes.
We will.
We're going to punch back.
So be here next Sunday.
Yes.
To hear what we have to say. But more than what we have to say, be here next week so that you can interact in this conversation and leave us a comment.
Be part of the great conversation.
We'll see you next time.
Bye now.